Right, let's talk about the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend. Second race of this inaugural triple header of Formula One. So the middle of the three races means that this is the first time that the teams have had to experience the logistic challenge of doing what they're doing, knowing that they've got a third race to come. And some of the teams are handling that a little bit differently to what would normally be just a double header, i.e. sending some kit straight from the French Grand Prix onto Silverstone and using a separate sort of set of kits for this particular middle race of the three. So that'll pose a number of challenges that they haven't really done it before, so I'm sure it won't be a problem, but something new. In terms of the track though, it's one of my favourites. It's in an amazing part of the world, so beautiful, picturesque. For me, it kind of represents what old school Formula One tracks are all about, surrounded by trees and hills with undulation, you know, just old school F1 tracks, and I love those. We need more of them back in this sport. It's a track that definitely does offer some overtaking opportunities. It's not always the easiest, but we've seen some great racing at the Austrian Grand Prix before. One of the biggest overtaking opportunities is at turn 3, which I cannot even begin to describe how big a hill that is up to turn 3. Massive incline. I went up there on the skateboard last year, and the skateboard just about got to the top. I mean, it was at walking pace. In fact, I was being overtaken by people running the track by the time I got to the top of that hill, but I was determined to make it, so I kept going. But it's a very steep incline, and of course you get to that heavy braking zone for turn 3, which is almost a right-angled right-hander, so a really big stopping zone, and therefore a great big opportunity for people to get past each other. It's a circuit that's all about braking and traction, which means that the rear tyres are going to be the ones that suffer or have to be looked after most. There are some big acceleration zones, some big braking zones, so keeping the car stable under braking and being able to get the traction down early out of corners is what will deliver you a fast lap time. The downforce levels, I guess, are probably fairly medium, because you need to have a compromise. It's got some quite long straights, even though it's a really short lap. It actually has some pretty long straights. So you need the speed, of course, along those, but you need the downforce stability through the faster corners. It's the shortest lap of the year in terms of time, and that has a couple of effects. One, it means that the guy doing the pit board has almost no time to change all the numbers and information on that before the cars come back round again, just over a minute. But it also means that the field is generally quite condensed in qualifying, because the lap time is so short. The amount of difference that you can make through good setup, good driving is smaller than you might be able to on a much longer circuit. So the lap times throughout qualifying tend to be very close, which means the tiniest mistake can really cost you a lot of grid positions, and you've got to get everything right if you want to make sure you're at the front of the field. That should be quite good. That often means you get drivers out of position in terms of the grid for Sunday, and that is what makes great racing. The tyres from Pirelli are the same 3 compounds that we had last weekend in France, but don't forget, these are now back to the normal tread depth tyres. The jury's still out as to whether it was the thinner gauge tyres that we had in Barcelona and in France that have given Mercedes such a dominant car at those circuits. For me, I think it's more about the circuit itself that suits that Mercedes, and I actually think that they'll do well here. Mercedes will of course be strong again. They just have a good car, but so do Ferrari, so I think it'll be tight. The thing is about this track, as I just said, everybody has to get everything right. It's one of those circuits that it's the people who make the least number of errors that will end up being at the front of the field come Sunday. And I think that's what Formula One should be about. Whoops, just lost my hat. That wasn't exactly a smooth look, was it? As a track, it has a number of peculiarities, I guess. In fact, one of the ironies is that it's called the Red Bull Ring, and Red Bull have never been strong now as a team. Hopefully they can turn that around this year. I mean, I actually think they may well do, with the upgraded Renault power unit and them being on form, I would say, this year. They've got a better chance than perhaps in previous years, but they've never really gone well at what is their home race. Some of the others are things like some of the curbs are pretty brutal, so you've got to be careful as to which curbs you can run over, and some you have to run over for great lap time. Others, if you don't treat them with respect, are pretty brutal. Some of them will bite you. They're big, they are aggressive curbs, and they can damage a car if you're not careful. The surface of the track is very kind of low abrasion levels, very smooth. And if you think back to the other circuits that have been like that, places like Barcelona, places like France last weekend, Mercedes have been strong on those very smooth asphalt-based circuits. This is also one of those. It's not new asphalt like we've had at those other two races I mentioned, but it is very smooth. As I said before, I went round there on a skateboard last year. It's one of my favourite skateboarding tracks. It's brilliant. It's up and down. The middle sector of the lap, sector 2, which I think is the driver's favourite as well. It's just incredible. Flowing from one to another, down, up and down, but down, incredible drop, and then flowing into a big left-hander of 7. Really amazing part of the circuit. Very fast and very demanding. And actually what's unique about that bit, or different I guess, is that most of the circuit is all right-hand corners. It's a clockwise track. And that means you're always loading up the outside tyres, which on most corners is the left-hand side of your car. So that's where all the tyre temperature builds up. You come to that section there, turns 6 and 7, two brilliant corners, but they're two left-handers that are pretty fast and pretty demanding corners, and yet then the outside tyre, the tyre that's then loaded up, is the right-hand side of the car, which hasn't really been worked very hard over the rest of the lap, and you can go into those two corners with that side of the car, in terms of tyres, being very cold and underprepared for those very, very, demanding turns. Turn 9 it's a great one. It comes up and you come to the crest of the corner almost blind, or the crest of the hill almost blind, turning in. You've got to have confidence in your car that you're turning into a blind crest, hit the apex, and then after the apex, on the exit of the corner, it starts to drop away again. So you really are coming over a sort of rise and then dropping away. It's a proper roller coaster of a lap, this one. As I said, last year, I just went round and round it, lap after lap, churning through batteries on the electric board, because it's just a brilliant, brilliant circuit. Because of that low abrasion level, I don't expect it to be very hard in terms of tyre degradation, and that again is something that tends to favour the Mercedes. What else have we got? Oh, the 700 metres above sea level. So this is quite a high racetrack up in the Styrian Hills. Nowhere near as high as Mexico City, but the similar kind of principles apply in that when you're that high above sea level, the air is much thinner, and therefore the downforce that's produced by the cars is much less. So you tend to find you have to run bigger wing levels or higher wing levels to produce a downforce level that at a more closer to sea level racetrack you would be able to produce with much smaller wing levels, if that makes sense. And equally with the internal combustion engine, because the air's thinner, you can't get as much air inside the air intake and into the engine to therefore produce power. So actually the engines produce less power here and have to work harder as a result than they might do at a more normal racetrack, I guess. So a couple of little features that are unique about this place. Because I said, as I said before, it's such a short lap and everything's condensed, it really will be a track that shows up the skill of both the driver and the engineers in getting everything right and making no mistakes, because it's condensed in terms of the field. it kind of swings it more towards a one-stop strategy generally, because it's condensed and a short lap. Traffic is always a problem here, so teams don't really want to take more stops than they have to, because you then feed out and have to work your way through traffic as a result of making an extra stop. So last year was a one-stop race. I think that will be where it probably sits again this season. But it doesn't have to make that a dull race. We have seen one-stop races that can be great and exciting, and this is a track, I think, that will lend itself to that. So I hope we don't get some kind of procession. I don't think we will. I think we'll get great racing. These cars, the current era of Formula One cars, are great around a track like this. They're incredibly high power. The hybrid element of these cars gives incredible torque, even low-end torque, and so I think, coming out of really slow corners with fast acceleration is something that these cars are very good at. It's all going to be about getting the traction down, stopping the rear tyres overheating. Degradation in terms of the abrasive surface won't be an issue. The one thing that could end up being an issue for some teams is rear tyre thermal degradation. If you're getting wheel spin out of the slower traction-based corners, it's very easy to build up and overheat the rear tyres, and then you start getting into blistering and high deg levels on the rear of the car. Teams all know about that, of course, and so they have to factor it into the team's setup and also the driver's driving style. He has to be very patient on the throttle, and the team's got to give him a car that he's got confidence he can get the throttle down early, but he is always going to want to get the throttle down earlier than the car can probably cope with. And so it's about having some patience and not overheating those tyres out of those corners. But loads to look forward to. I honestly believe that this weekend. I think we could have a good race. Definitely overtaking opportunities and a real spectacular place to hold a Grand Prix. So it's one of those old school tracks that's been modified and brought up to date. The facilities are great there. The surrounding area is beautiful, and I absolutely love the track. It bites you if you get it wrong, but get it all right and it's incredibly rewarding. So let's look forward to a great one. Robert Kubica back in the car in that Williams on Friday morning as well. For Robert Kubica fans, something to look forward to there. Enjoy the race. Like and share the video, please. If you're not subscribed to this channel already, why not, man? Subscribe, hit the button, and you won't miss another one. Please tell your friends about it. Start sharing this around, and we'll try and build it into something bigger and better as we go. But enjoy the race, and let's talk further as the week goes on.